Well, Phil, welcome to the programme. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, we're talking specifically about Christmas because the Christian Broadcasters Association has as far as I know, pretty much unique position in the world in terms of broadcasting on Christmas Day.
I think that's true. Yeah, I haven't come across anybody internationally that's doing what we're doing.
So just tell us a bit about what the plans are.
Okay, well, for I think it's the last 11 or 12 years, we've had the opportunity to take over New Zealand's largest commercial, secular, mainstream radio network. That's News Talk ZB, and they simulcast us on the Radio Sport network as well. So it's a really vast audience. On I think there's 25 stations on ZB, another 21 stations on Radio Sport. We've got 12 hours live on Christmas Day. And now we've got another 6 hours on Christmas Eve as well, so it's 18 hours nationwide. And we've managed to pull together some great Christian broadcasters: Ian Grant, Petra Bagust, John Cooney, John Cowan, John Hawksby, Julia Wright, Tim Cicerich, Reuben Bradley, Pat Brittenden. So we've got nine hosts plus lots of guests, and we've already got a couple of interesting interviews. One with the author of The Shack, and one with Andre Rieu, the violinist.
Wow, that's quite a lineup.
Yeah.
It must feel like a strange responsibility to suddenly be running, even for a day, suddenly you're running the country's biggest commercial radio network. That's quite a sudden responsibility, isn't it?
It is big. You know, I've kind of got used to it now because I've been doing it for 11 or 12 years. But you're right, I was at the Santa Parade last weekend, and there were thousands and thousands of people there, and suddenly it occurred to me that this is just a drop in the bucket compared to the Christmas Day audience. So the Research International numbers would suggest that there's over 250,000 people that'll listen throughout the Christmas Day program, and you know there might have been 10,000 people at the parade or something. This was just the one in Howick, and I thought, wow, you know, imagine that, multiply it. If you could see them all, you'd really freak out. Yeah. But because you don't, radio is a very intimate medium. It's just a one-on-one sort of medium, and so you're there and you're talking, and there's people phoning up, and you're interviewing, and it all feels, you know, quite
small.
Intimate, yes, and small, yeah, that's right.
Does the fact that it's a secular network and a very popular one as well, does that make it difficult for you to talk about Christian things, or can you just go for it?
We can just go for it, but it is difficult. It's a challenge in the preparing of the program. As we sit down and we think, how can we connect with our audience? You know, there's that billboard. Did you see the TUI one that said something like, let's pause for a moment to think about Christ this Christmas? Yeah, right. Okay, there was some controversy around that. Personally, I like it because people are talking about Christ at Christmas. You know, they've changed it now because of all the people that complained, and now they're not going to be talking about it, which is a pity. But it occurred to me that when it's Queen's birthday weekend, nobody cares that it's the Queen's birthday. It's just a long weekend. Most people don't care that it's Jesus' birthday. It's just a big celebration, family, food, all that. So when we are trying to inject some of that truth and reality and the real meaning of Christmas, what it's all about, we're trying to connect with people who really don't care. It's not that they're anti, it's just that they haven't really thought about it. So we sit down in our planning meetings and we think, how can we connect with those people in a way which is very relevant, very now, very, you know, where they are. And it can't just be God, God, God the whole time. 18 hours of that would be boring even for Christians. So we do mix it up. We have Santa, you know, we get a bit of flack for that, but we have Santa. But then Santa comes in and says, oh, well, you know, I'm friends with Jesus, and he talks about the origins of St. Nicholas and stuff, which is all very Christian. So, you know, we sneak it in there, but it's all a little bit, you know, like guerrilla.
Guerrilla tactics.
Yeah.
The fact that they've asked you back year after year after year sort of implies you must be doing something right.
Yeah, the first time we did Christmas, it was interesting. I sat down with them after and I said, you know, how did that go for you? Were you happy with it? And they said, what are you doing at Easter? They said, oh, we might have something to say about that. So since then we've been doing Christmas and Easter we've got our daily stuff, we've got our weekly stuff as well. But yeah, no, Christmas goes very well for us. It's a big production. It takes 3 months of planning. Still a lot of work to do between now and Christmas Day. So it is a big production, cast of hundreds.
Let's talk a bit about the work of the CBA. Just sort of fill us in on what it does for the other 364 days of the year.
Yeah, sure. Well, my job essentially is to find Christians who are already working within the media, pull them together, work on stitching together projects that we can deliver to mainstream commercial networks. Our bread and butter programs are, we have a daily program which goes out on News Talk ZB. It doesn't play in Auckland, but it plays on most of the rest of the network, sometimes Wellington, sometimes not. But when there's a traffic report in Auckland, they need to fill the gap in, wherever, Bay of Plenty, in the rest of the country. So we have a 90-second piece that plays there. We do that several times, that plays several times a day. We've done, I think, 2,700 of those now over the last 10 or 11 years. Again, the host of people like Ian Grant and John Cooney, John Cowan, Rob Harley's done a lot of those. And then we have our Sunday night program, Real Life with John Cowan. That's been the top rating show for the last 4.5 years for its time slot nationwide. And what I've recently begun doing is giving a sheet to the program directors that rate it out of 10. How gaudy is it? Is it really safe, or is it a bit daring? And I dare them. I almost challenge them. You have to be, a bit risky to play this track, because it's a 9 out of 10 on the Godometer, and that is, a very overt Christian track, that one. And I'm getting program directors from all over the country, big stations, little stations, networks, the More FMs, the Classic Hits, the ZMs, emailing me back to say, oh, love this, it's great stuff, send us more. And we played the 9 out of 10 on the Godometer piece. So it's getting in there,
That's great.
And the more we do of the stuff which is a bit more kind of subtle and upbeat and whatever, the more they trust us, and the easier it is over time to sneak in the more overt Christian pieces at Christmas and Easter and whatever. Yeah.
Well, we better let you get back to organising it,
So
otherwise it'll go quiet on Christmas Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.